Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tea with Crema. My name is Chris. I'll be one of your hosts today, and I'm joined in Japan by my best friend, Emma.
Konnichiwa, y'all.
I guess I don't have to say every time that you're in Japan, but there'll be times where you're not in Japan sometimes. So it's important that people know, where is Emma right now? 2 months ago, where was Emma? On recording, she was here. She has long since moved around. Oh my gosh. So today, our ultimate podcast episode is about The Ultimatum. Because let me tell you about a show that I'm not even 100% sure what I thought I was going to get going into it. I didn't want to watch it originally. And then, I don't know what changed, but I did. And I was like, wow, this was
a mess.
Wild. A mess. A journey.
You didn't want to watch it. And then I was like, you need to watch the show because I have so many thoughts. And so Chris graciously also started to watch just so I would have someone to talk to about it because I was like, I cannot watch this by myself and keep all these thoughts to myself.
Because the ad at the end of Love is Blind season 2 was not good. It did not make me want to watch it at all.
It was also so misplaced. It felt so forced. It was a clear ad placement and it wasn't good.
In the middle of the reunion, it was like, thank you all for coming. Look what we're doing now. It was odd overall, but we watched it. And before we get into, another episode about another Netflix show from another pair of friends who are genuinely hilarious, we do have to have our tea check. So, Emma, what tea do you have today?
I have a tea. It's a Ceylon orange pico.
Oh, okay.
Is this Twinings or Twinnings? I'm pretty sure it's Twinings because Twinnings should have 2 ends, right?
Oh, I guess it is probably Twinings. Oh, that's from across the ocean. Who knows?
It's from London, so London. Yeah. Anyway, it tastes like an orange tea.
It's it's an orange black tea, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's pretty plain. It is what it is. Okay.
It came in a aluminum package, and it did what it said it was gonna do.
It did what it said it was gonna do. It said to only brew for 1.5 minutes, which now thinking, I'm glad I brewed it for as long as I did because it gives it a little bit more flavor. I think the 1.5 minutes would have been like a doop doop and not enough time.
I know, this seems short for even a green tea.
What are you drinking today, and what is your tea traversy today?
Okay, well tonight... Controversy. Okay. You gotta be careful. That almost sounded like something else. I am drinking a tea called Chamomile Cuddles by Steep and Sip. And that's because, it's only 10:30, but it's a Friday and your boy is tired. Mm-hmm. So we'll be promptly calling it a night after this. But I'm very excited for this episode. And honestly, it's a chamomile tea. They didn't do anything fancy with it, but I enjoy it. And because I've had some really weak chamomile teas, but this one it's chamomile. I like it. It's chill. But in other news, I have I've tried some things, developed some opinions. Okay. I've decided I like chai tea. I didn't at first. Uh-huh. The milk and then the spice didn't make any sense, and it took me a while, but I'm with it now.
Are you on board?
But I am on board. However, I will say I don't usually dislike H-E-B products, but H-E-B's chai tea is not great. It's not great. It's kind of weak. Well, it's not strong enough.
H-E-B sounds about white.
Well, we tried.
They tried.
But chai tea was not the move. I did not like it. I will not buy it again. I'm gonna really step up, spend a little bit of money on something that I hopefully is a little bit more quality. And then my second controversy is they've recently opened in Fort Worth this place called Dutch Bros Coffee.
Oh yeah, Dutch Bros.
And they went from 0 to 100. So they went from no stores to their stores all over Fort Worth now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've been to one. And I was like, what in the cup of sugar is this? There was no coffee in there. There was no tea. There was no milk. It was just water and sugar, featuring coloring from different coffees and teas. Because I tried a coffee and I tried a tea from there. And I truly was like, where is the coffee in this coffee? And then tried the tea and was like, this is Kool-Aid. No.
Dutch Bros is also like really popular in the Midwest. And it's like that one is like a huge rival between Dutch Bros versus Dunkin'. Which, like, if you've been to Dunkin', you know, I feel like that's also just a cup of sugar and milk as well. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm sorry that it wasn't.
That was it. It was not. I'm just really glad I was not one of those people that sat in like the original lines that took forever. I went on like a Tuesday afternoon or something, and so it was just me and my thoughts.
Which is funny.
And it was
you like sweet tea, so
as someone from Texas, yes, but this was not. There was no tea in this. None at all. None. It was Kool-Aid. Too much. But yes, that is my final thoughts on chai tea, H-E-B's chai tea, and Dutch Bros. Not great. 0 out of 5 stars. Unless you really just want a sugar high, which comes with a crash. So I don't know why you would want that, because we're not children anymore. But in any case, thank you for entertaining my tea rant, because
that was a lot.
No one else listens to me talk about tea for no reason. So that's too much. It's been really weighing on me. I had to share my opinion out loud.
I'm glad that you felt like this was a safe space for you to share your I need to stop saying it because it sounds like I'm saying that other word. Your teacher-versies.
It's a setup. I was like, ooh, I don't know. You gotta be careful. Oh no. But okay. So overall, I guess we're starting our little ultimatum episode show, and I'm just really curious, like, what is it? Because that ad was not good. So I'm really trying to figure out, like, why did you watch this show? Because I was not about it at all.
Because especially during the Love is Blind reunion, you and I had kind of like, we were live, tweeting and texting each other, and then you were like, what was that ad? And I was like, I'm confused. I don't know why I started watching it, but once I did start watching it, I was like automatically already kind of intrigued. At the same time, I was also a little upset at some of the couples. There was just a lot of, WTF moments as well. There was a lot going on. But
there were so many.
I think I started watching it because it was like number 1 in the US, and so I was like, okay, whatever, like I have nothing better to do with my life. So I started watching it, didn't realize that Rosa was also watching it, so then she and I started texting, and then I told Chris he needs to get on it because we need to do an episode on this show, because when I tell you that show was the biggest
train wreck.
Thank you. I was like, what's the nice word for it? Oh my gosh, there was a lot going on, but I'm glad that we did watch it because it also like brought up some really important questions. Like, I personally thought that they were really young, but you thought that they were like that's like normal age to get married type thing, like to be issuing ultimatums, I think.
Nah, not for ultimatums, but for people to be considering marriage and things. I understand. I do think that they were starting to broach some topics that aren't really necessarily compromising topics. Like, no one's going to sit around and be like, there was literally a couple that was like, man, I want kids. And the other person was like, I don't want kids. There's no half child. You can't have half a kid. There's no compromise there. You either have the kid or you don't. So it's just, I was trying to figure out how y'all compromise. This doesn't, what? Like,
that one though was so interesting because it didn't seem like she was anti-child. It seemed like she was anti-child with her partner. But not even because it was her partner, but because of her partner's lifestyle. And what she didn't want was to be, essentially a single parent in a marriage, right? Like, she wanted to be with someone who's going to be also present, but he had his own business, he had his own thing. But when she started talking to, when she was doing those dates and was like thinking about it, and she's like, yeah, I can have a child with this other guy. I was like, okay, so it's not the child thing. It's really, to her, it was a lifestyle thing.
Wasn't the other guy Colby?
Also, Kobe was just kind of a mess. I don't know about Kobe, man. That man was delusional.
Colby did not become a mess until they actually issued the second couple groupings. Because at that point, I feel like the experience for him just fell apart. Because there was that cop-out from Lauren and Nate.
Which is the said child couple.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so...
Of just like, oh, it just felt... And it's all... Everyone all said the same... Everyone on the cast said the same thing. Everyone in all the social media stuff said the same thing. It was just like, you just proposed because no one else was picking you. You were about to be the odd duck out.
Mm-hmm. Like, the only one that really, like, the Alexis and Nate one, that one made sense. You know, she issued the ultimatum, then he said, okay, I'm ready. And it was really after he saw how much turmoil she was going through, that he realized and recognized, like, okay, like, actually, I do want to be with this person. Because he was going to be partnered off. I think April was going to choose him, you know, had everything gone to plan. But then when he ended up proposing, April was like, okay, now who am I going to choose? And the fact that I think all of that went down, and then when the people that, I'm so sorry, it wasn't Nate. Who was the one? Oh, Nate and Lauren. Oh, I was talking about the other white man.
Alexis and Hunter?
Alexis and Hunter, yeah. When Alexis and Hunter, like, that was the only pairing I felt like made sense to get to get engaged at that point. Because also, Alexis was not going to go home with any of those people. She was going to walk off of that show. Guaranteed. Because she was also a nightmare. Like, I love the social medias when they talk about the big three evil women of like reality shows. It's like kind of rude, I know. That's like not nice, but it's her. Oh, girl that kept squinting during Love is Blind. Shayna. Is that her name?
Oh.
And then
from the first season or from the second one?
Season. And then Jessica from the first season. And they were like, these women are all the same women, just copy and pasted. I was like, oh, sad. Anyway, but yeah, like, she was not gonna go home with anyone. The whole time that I was like watching it with Chris, I was like, oh my gosh, like, if she ends up going home with Zay, because I thought no one was gonna pick Zay either, I was like, if she ends up going home with Zay, like, no, kick them both off the show, because this is not a safe pairing for either of those people.
I get, okay. I mean, I guess, oh, fine, Alexis and Hunter made sense. But Homeboy really just proposed because he wasn't going home with nobody, and I'm gonna stick with that.
Yes.
And I know he said that that's not why he did it. But also, yes, unlike the other two, he issued the ultimatum and then was like, just kidding, I'm ready now. Like, what?
Exactly.
But anyways.
And it wasn't even like about him being ready. We all knew he was ready. It was his partner who was not ready. So he's like issuing the ultimatum and then at the end was like, oh, let's get married. It was like so disingenuous. It was not my favorite. At
all. Hot mess. And then I think I got confused by like what they were trying to prove. Like the way the whole show went down, I was so confused. I was just like, instead of living with another partner, what if we just had a reality show and it was couples therapy? Like,
that's not as fun. That's too healing.
True, because I truly was just like, maybe you should go to a professional who can then help you all realize that you're either not compatible or there's some issues that you can work through. Instead, no. We're going to drag ourselves onto the show in our mid-20s, in all relationships younger than 3 years, and just, like, go wild in Austin for 2 weeks or a month or however long that they were locked in this hotel for. And then let's see what happens.
Because I think that Zay hit it on the head. He was like, people are using these 3 weeks as, like, a free hall pass. Which at the same time, in my head, I was like, what, is that not what it is? Like, I thought that was the whole premise, was like, for you to get into a relationship with someone else who you could potentially see, like, a future relationship with, and then at the end, like, do you still want to be with your partner? But I feel like that was exacerbated by the fact, like, I just had these, like, 3 basically, like, honeymoon weeks with this person who I, like, you know, caught feelings for really quick in a week when I was doing those dating. And then now I have to go back to my old partner. And I was like, in my head, I think psychologically, isn't it natural to just be like, oh, well, so-and-so didn't do that. Like, they didn't do that. Like, oh, you don't do this. Like, and like, did they have...
Yes, as you lived in a hotel together.
Did anyone, like, write off on this? Like, did anyone think, like, oh, this might be a traumatic experience for the people involved?
The whole show didn't make sense. I don't know where they got this idea from. Like, it truly, I didn't understand what was happening. It was almost as bad as that social media show, The Circle
I
or
love
whatever.
The Circle. Please do not. No circle slander is allowed on this show.
Let me tell you about a show I got like 2 episodes in and was like, what? And stopped. I don't usually stop shows, but I stopped watching The Circle. I at least made it through this season. I couldn't with The Circle.
That's legal catfishing right there.
I tell you, I was so confused on that show. I didn't know what we were doing, what the premise was. Why are we like this? It didn't make any sense. This show was even, I feel like it was probably, there was no grand prize, so I guess that's nice. Like, they didn't have to pay for anything.
In The Circle,
because, on Love is Blind, yeah, there's a grand prize in The Circle, and then in Love is Blind, there's a wedding that they have to pay for. Mm-hmm. Or at least I think the show has to pay for it.
Yeah, I think the show pays
I don't really know, but everything. But at least on this one, it's just kind of like, honestly, we just got to put y'all up in a hotel for a month.
2 months, really, because they have the first trial marriage. I think the thing that was also messy about that, too, with the moving of marriages, like, y'all couldn't afford to, like, put them in another apartment, like, another hotel room. Like, I don't understand why, like, these partners were just sharing a bed, and then now they just switch partners, and now that new partner has to share a bed with that person. Like, that was messy to me. I felt like they needed to, like,
literally clear the air by being in a different space.
By being in a different room, by being in a different hotel, by being somewhere else that was not that place, because I felt like that was so, like, low-key disrespectful, but also really messy, because then you had Zay coming in, finding that gold box that April and Jake were maybe or maybe not using, and like, there have been so many articles about this gold box. What's in the box?
I was like, because it was a big deal. Clearly. No, they opened the box.
They did, but you don't see what's in it fully. Like, we only
There was definitely a feather.
We only saw that there was a feather and there was a riding crop. But we don't see anything else that's in the box. So, I think April actually does, like, in an interview, she does tell, like, what was in the box. But then all of that to happen, just to find out that April and Jake didn't even sleep together. I mean, not April and Jake. That Ray and Jake didn't even sleep together. Allegedly.
Which is weird because Zay was the only one that ended up doing the do with Shanique.
Exactly.
Based on the reunion show.
Yes.
So it's just real funny how he was like, oh, I just feel like everyone's using this as a pass. Plot twist, it was just him.
Using as a pass. Like, come on. Come on now. Anyway.
I don't know. I will say, I was kind of afraid that it was going to kind of turn into that with the couple that I thought it was going to happen with, like the ultimatum couple that I thought it was going to happen with, was not the one that it happened with, actually. I didn't think it was going to be.
Did you think it was going to be Randall and Old Girl?
No. I thought, yeah, Randall and Madeline. Madeline. Yes.
Madeline with no.
That's who I thought it. Ugh. That's where I thought it was going. That's what I was afraid of. Because, it was aggressive.
Like, and then also, like, segueing from that relationship, I thought that was, like, such a problematic relationship. And problematic in the way that it was, like, Randall, how he referred to Madeline, and, like, the way that he talked about Shanique. Like, I did not like that. And again, this is, like, editing, right? All we see is, like, what's edited in and edited out. He could have been edited to look this way, where it seemed like he was coming off, he was calling Shanique, like, oh, you're childish, you're aggressive, you're all these different things. But Madeline literally came home drunk, got into a screaming match with him, and he chased after her. Like, that's the part that gets me every time. When Shanique showed up and told him, no, I want you to be in a corner. Like, wallowing that you're not with me right now. I, like, felt that. I understood where she was coming from. No, I didn't. I don't understand where she was coming from. But, there's a part of me that was like, she's exhibiting the same behavior that Madeline is. Give her the same grace that you're giving to Madeline. That was the end of story. That's where I was getting at.
I just think it's easier to give someone grace when you've only known them for 2 weeks.
Is it? I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, yes, you also chose to live with this person for a month, so it's like, okay, yeah, she's getting drunk. Well, maybe this is like a one-time thing. Plot twist. Old girl was drunk the whole show.
I think every time, a lot of it.
Every single time.
A lot of it.
She was a couple of tequilas deep. And that's okay. That's how she was coping with being on this show.
It was, girl, you could tell every time. There was like girls' night out.
She was slurring. By the end of the show.
The time with Randall, like, girl, it was every night with Colby. I was like, bro.
Why it was such a surprise that, okay, spoiler alert, obviously, I hope they know that there's going to be spoilers, that they got married. When her and Colby got married in the end, and the fact that throughout the entire show, Colby kept saying, we're the strongest couple here, we're the strongest couple here. I was like, are we watching the same show? Which makes me really believe that they edited it so terribly to make it look like that. Because anyone who's watching the show just on face value would have been like, you're the strongest couple there? Like, where? How? Like, this whole show was such a mess.
It's because I really think he thought that because, like, Homeboy didn't really get to do anything. He didn't get to do the show, like, in reality.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of, like, roommated it up with April for a while. They were friends. And then he just went back with Madeline. And then they fought for however many weeks. And then I think what killed me was the fact that he was like, not only did he propose, he was like, we're going to get married right now. Personally, I've just been like, first of all, you can accept a proposal, but what you're not about to do is like make this an elopement. No sir. Get up. Let's go home.
He really turned that into a no take backs.
No takesies backsies. He put that ring on there and was like, okay, you said forever, right? Okay, so today, right now. That was the part that got me. I was not ready. Surprised. Thoroughly surprised. Actually, honestly, I was surprised by all of them. I didn't hardly think anyone was going to stay together.
By the end of that show, it felt like Love is Blind all over again. You know, I really thought that there was going to be none from that last season, but they walked out with two. Two of them walked out together. This time I was like, nah, there's no way no one is getting, like, and then they had two proposals, you know, and then in the reunion we find out that Randall and Shanique actually did not stay together. You know, they did take an actual break, which I feel like made them a stronger couple in the end. I mean, so it seems, according to social media.
Because they said they went to therapy, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, like, I think that they had broken up, kind of had worked on themselves. He lost some people in his family. She was really, like, always there as a friend. And then he realized, like, okay, like, she's not going anymore.
Mm-hmm. Those be the moments. So that was really nice. That reunion show was confusing. Also, I don't really understand how we call Nick and Vanessa Lachey the hosts.
Because what do they even do?
They show up on the first and the last episodes.
I could be a host at that point. That's really just them saying, like, this is a Nick and Vanessa Lachey produced show. We're going to get our coin. We're doing our minimum amount of episodes we have to do. Welcome.
Here's the premise. And then they check in midway. They're like, okay, here's what's happening next. And at the end, they're like, how was your time? How was your time? Oh, it's crazy? Tell me more.
And then also they, like, low-key stir the pot as well. You know, like, I love when they do, like, we know you wanted.
They were clowning people on them clips, though. Clowning people.
Because even Jake had one, too, right? With his,
Yes, about how he was drug onto the show.
I don't want to be here. Did I ever mention that I don't want to be here?
I didn't want to be here. I got drug onto the show. Like, when they came with them clips, I was like, Oh my god.
Which that relationship, too, was so interesting to me with April and Jake, because it really did feel like they were on track to be married. It just wasn't happening quick enough for April. You know, like, he bought her a car. Like, that to me signifies, like, oh, we're serious. Like, I'm buying you a car, I'm making the car payments on it. Like, I'm so confused. But, you know, in the end, they ended up not together, so it was for the best, I guess. But
first of all, if I buy you a car, it's basically official.
Yeah. Also, a car is more expensive than a wedding ring. More expensive than a wedding.
I mean, depending on the car.
She had an SUV.
I guess I've never thrown a wedding, so I don't really know how much those are.
She had like a whole Tahoe. Like, she had a big old car.
Yeah, well, yeah.
New or used, those cars are expensive.
I don't know. I drive a cute little 4-door sedan.
You and your sedan.
Subcompact sedan. Yes, no, it just, I was so confused. I didn't understand what was happening. And then no one ended up staying together. And I don't know if they ever were gonna have, like, I don't know.
There was a lot of thoughts. Okay, so final thoughts on The Ultimatum.
I don't even know how to rate it because I recommended it to a friend. I told Charmaine to watch it.
What'd she say?
She thought it was a mess. I thought it was a mess. It didn't make any sense.
5 out of 5 for mess factor. I will give it an A+ for mess.
And I finished it. I watched the whole show as it came out. I didn't even wait. Like, it was as it was coming out. So, I mean, it was good enough to finish.
At the end, I still really didn't know where it was going to go, which I always feel like is a good marker of a show. And I'm like, are y'all even going to end up together? And then, I'm pleasantly surprised.
But the weird part is, I don't know. I watched it and I'm like, I didn't care. Because, like, when I watched Love is Blind, I was like, oh, I was rooting for couples. And I was like, no, I don't want them to end up together. Like, it's not gonna, I don't think it would work. It shouldn't happen. And there were couples that I was like, they can make it work. It can happen. Please let it happen. Believe in love. And then this show, I was like, I don't care what y'all do, because this don't make not a lick of sense. But I will say what I did like was it was not like an entirely all-white cast. That part was an immediate plus. Because there are so many shows where it's like, hello, white people, and one black couple. It's just like, so of the coupling, like it was really diverse and intentional. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about season 2 being like a more queer kind of season, which I'm really interested. I might watch season 2, even though I can't say I would recommend season 1 to anyone else. But I might watch season 2 just to see how the dynamic changes.
Let's see what else, like what kind of mess that we can get into with some queer couples.
But I really hope that they like work out some logistics though. Because the easy like, oh, sorry, we out. I just proposed to her before we even like got into the show. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. It just felt like a cop out. Like people just kind of like dipped out. So I don't know. Hopefully after like watching the show, the next season of people are people that have like read the fine print and knew what was happening. Like there's not, I don't know. The premise of the show felt a little disjointed and broken to me. Where like Love is Blind worked. Season 1, season 2, it did the things. I didn't feel like there were any like major tweaks that needed to be made. Mm-hmm. This show, I'm like, y'all might need to go back to the drawing board because...
Yeah, like the fact that you're able to just like walk out midway through the experience, which like honestly had all 6 participated in it, would have changed, I think, a lot of things. Like had Kobe and Lauren been able to do their experience the way they wanted to, had April and Hunter or April and Nate been able to do the experience, right? Because those are the people that they wanted to end the show with. Or not end the show with, but go into the trials with, I think that it would have changed a lot of things. Now, again, that leaves Alexis. No one wanted Alexis on the male end. Everyone was intimidated by her. And I don't know if it was intimidated or annoyed, because she also came out really hot in terms of her, like, oh, I need someone who's going to be a provider. Like, her big thing was also that Hunter did not make as much money as her. But then when she accepted the proposal, it was almost like, it was kind of like a comfort fact, right? Like, she was like, I don't connect with any of these men here. Like, the one that she did connect with did not want her at all. And I like need to address that really quickly because the fact that she kept coming after Colby and was like, he's not a good person. Like, no, it's not that he's not a good person. You've just never been rejected before in your life. Like, that's what happens when like conventionally attractive women in these cases, like, I mean, she's blonde hair, blue eyes, like Eurocentric.
She got money. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she had tried to go after him, and then when he said no, and then she said, okay, let's like bring back that conversation, and he said, I'm not interested in you, and she said, he called me ugly, and he said, I didn't call you ugly, I just said that I'm not attracted to you. You're not unattractive, I'm just unattracted.
After I told you the day before that I didn't want to,
like, and he was trying,
I was done.
I felt like he was trying to be nice about it too, like, and he got pushed to that point where he had to tell her, like, the only thing that he knew would make her back off was if he had gone after her looks, which he did.
No means no. Period. Just let it go. It just wasn't working for you. Move on.
Yes.
That part was wild. And then I think then being like super rude to Madeline about it, and then running into the bathroom about it. It was just this whole thing. And then her bachelorette party thing where she like stirred even more of the pot. Literally just, I think that's what, I was like, why did you air her bachelorette party? She's not even on the show at this point.
Exactly.
For the reunion, okay, cool, fine. Give us an update on your marriage. Great, wonderful.
Which is still not
so
a
nice.
marriage. She's still not married. Like, got engaged, and now it's in the second part of this ultimatum, like, about to be 5-year engagement. You know? Like, ugh, she drove me nuts. Villain.
I think that's what it was. Cause like to come back after like copping out, or legitimate proposal, whatever you want to call it, and then stirring the pot in the season, I was just like, what are you doing here? You haven't had even close to a comparable experience. You're not even in this anymore.
Who are you?
What are you? Go away. Get away from me. It was, I don't know. I will probably watch season 2 only because it's queer centric, but I couldn't recommend this show. It didn't make any sense. Truly. I don't know. And I think it's too finite. Something just wasn't right for me.
Just was not right.
All these little 20-something influencers.
Final question. Would you ever issue an ultimatum in a relationship, Christopher?
I don't know. Because I don't know. I feel like an ultimatum, from my understanding, it seems as though it's essentially just like a breakdown in communication over a prolonged period of time. Mm-hmm. Like you've reached a point where like y'all have consistently not effectively communicated your needs. And so now we've reached a like do or die kind of moment. Yeah. So I don't know. Ideally, no, because if we're actively communicating, there shouldn't be a need for an ultimatum.
Yeah. Which seemed to be the common consensus amongst my friends that were like watching the show at the same time I was, which was like, if you're issuing an ultimatum, like there's clearly something deeper that's an issue, right? Like they're like, low-key, it's a red flag. And I was like, high-key red flag. It's like, I've never felt the need to issue an ultimatum. I don't know if you would consider my telling Isaac, like, you either get a college degree or we don't get married. But that was also, I was like 16 years old. He did take that to heart, you know? Congratulations to Isaac. He just graduated today. Woohoo! And now we're getting married. So, you know, again, but I was 16 years old. Would I, at this age, if I had been together with Isaac, like, and there was no other contingencies, I don't know. I don't know. I would hope that we would never have to get to the point where I'd have to issue an ultimatum. But yeah, I agree that you're kind of at your wit's end if you're issuing an ultimatum. And it's also one of those things, too, where it's like, should you, like, even still be together if you're issuing an ultimatum? Like,
because you clearly did not work through these problems, and you let it get to this point where, like, you're so bothered that you're literally willing to walk away from it. Because that's typically the ultimatums. It's literally do it or I'm going. So if you feel so strongly about it, why have you not been communicating? This issue didn't just like show up yesterday. So no, I think ideally you have been in communication about something for a long time, and yeah, we should just go to couples therapy to figure out if this is a reconcilable difference as opposed to me issuing an ultimatum, because again, you're either going to change and accept it or you're not. And that's not like an ultimatum kind of moment. Like we knew what it was going to be. Mm. You either wanted kids or you didn't want kids. You either wanted to move because of your career or you didn't want to move because of your career. Like it just is what it is. You know when you want to do something and you know what you're willing to make compromises for. And if we've just reached a point where like it's not working anymore, I'm not willing to make a compromise that is super pivotal for that other person, or vice versa, there's no need to issue an ultimatum. We knew that time was coming, and it's either naturally time to end it and move on, or someone's going to have to make a really deep compromise, and that's a lot to ask of a person. So, I don't know. I'd like to avoid ultimatums if I could. Oh, personally.
Okay. Well, great time to get into our
rapid fire
question.
Do the jellyfish dance. Do.
Wait, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Before we get started, I remember I told you another today years old fun fact that I learned.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
I recently learned that paprika, the spice, is just dried red bell peppers. Did you know that?
Just ground up into a little bitty powder. No, I didn't know what paprika was. I just be putting it on stuff.
And the only reason
just be throwing it.
The only reason why I found out what it was because in Japanese, red bell peppers, because I was like making a point to someone and I was like, oh, what do you call this? And they were like, oh, paprika. And that's how you say it in Japanese. But in New Zealand, they call it capsicum. And I was like, that's a bell pepper. And so I was trying to tell them, I was like, oh, you know, in Japan, or like in English, we call it bell pepper. But then in New Zealand, they call it, which they also speak English there too, they call it, capsicum. And then someone was like, oh yeah, in Japanese, it's paprika. And I was like, paprika? And I was like, hold up.
Wait a minute.
Paprika. And they were like, yeah, paprika. I was like paprika, like paprika? You know, like the thing you shake on the thing. And they're like, maybe? So I looked it up. It is just dried up bell peppers.
Just grounded. That's where it gets that. I've only ever added it to stuff when I needed to have that like smoky kind of flavor to it. I guess that makes sense now. Yeah, well, in hindsight.
I was today years old when I tell you. Okay, sorry. Back to your rapid fire question. You can go first.
Okay. So my rapid fire question today is, you are presented with an option, and that option is, if you touch this magical object, ring, rock, whatever, you will like be magically 100% proficient in a language of your choice. Okay. However, you will never be able to learn any other language. Oh. So you will essentially forever and always be bilingual. Oh. Or whatever your current like language capacity is, like that's it. You can develop in that. So like if you, like for me, I only speak English presently. So if I touch this object, it's me, English, and whatever other language. I will be bilingual for the rest of my life. Like that's it. So, and there's no option. You have to touch the stone. So what would be your language?
Oh, I have to touch it. I thought the question was like, would you touch it or would you not touch it? And I was like, no, I wouldn't touch it because I'm actually pretty good at learning languages.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So that's why I was like, I have to take that out because I knew you wouldn't. I was just curious, like, what would you pick? Because I know we've done like top 5, but like, shoot, it's down to the one. You got to pick that other one.
I'm trilingual, correct? Because I speak Spanish and I speak Spanish and English. Oh God, what would be my third one?
Really got to put that priority on there.
No, I'm really trying to think like in terms of what is a marketable language.
Mandarin.
I was thinking either Mandarin or Arabic. I've heard Arabic is actually really easy to learn. Not like easy, but it's like easier. They said,
well, at this point, it wouldn't matter. You'd be touching our object and you would just like, no.
It. Oh, man.
I know. It's like, do you waste it on like something fun or...
Something fun? Like Tongan?
First of all, I was going to say French.
God, that would not be fun.
Italian, like just something like wee wee.
Which would also like not be helpful because if I already speak Spanish, like I feel like I'm pretty like I'm okay in Italian, like you know I understand enough, and then French is also kind of one of those that's like it's still related to each other.
Literally, it's just like you just threw that opportunity away. You're just like exactly. French, like French.
You just chose 2 of the same languages. Okay, I guess I would pick. Oh God, I guess I would probably pick like Mandarin or something. What would you choose?
I think, okay, so the practical option would be Spanish, but...
You're not practical.
I'm not practical at all. Too easy. So I feel like I would have way more fun if I knew Mandarin.
You'd be way
I don't know why.
You'd be so marketable. This is how we get our millionaire degrees.
I guess that's part of it. I don't know. I just want to speak Mandarin. It just, the alphabet, like the way it works, and it's like, the pictures and all of the fun thing, it just doesn't. I don't know anyone who speaks Mandarin. Anyone, not a single person. But I would make some Mandarin speaking friends.
Specifically for that. There's actually a pretty big like Mandarin speaking community in Texas, you know.
Okay, in Texas. I was like, it's, you know, I want to say it's like one of the most spoken languages in the world, but sure, yeah.
Yeah, Texas and California, yeah. But I feel like with Mandarin, you can kind of like, there's, what I have come to notice and realize after traveling, you know, to the less than 10 countries that I've been to, but there have been pockets of Chinese-speaking people, Mandarin specifically speaking folks, in each of these different places. So I feel like Mandarin is one of those languages where you would essentially be okay.
It would work out.
Well, my question's not as fun. Alright.
Hee hee.
Well, I had 2 questions and neither of them were.
Now I'm worried that you now I'm worried you actually answer that or ask them and I'm like, no, for real, you gotta come up with something else.
Yeah, well, I was not going to ask any of those questions. Okay, so, speaking of the ultimatum and how they had to go on those trial dates, what is the first thing that you notice about someone when you meet them? It doesn't have to be, romantically, just, when you meet a person, what is the first thing that you notice?
Whether they're on time or late.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, because that is your pet peeve. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, mine was I can tell pretty accurately and pretty soon after meeting someone if I'm gonna like them or not. If I'm gonna vibe with their energy or if they're gonna be draining. And so then
don't most people have that ability?
No, I feel but that is the first thing I notice is, am I vibing with you? Are you bringing me up or are you
exhausting
me?
And
then I'm okay, this was fun. This is never gonna happen again. 0 out of 10. I think most people can. There probably are good, indicators of that. But I feel like socially draining people don't recognize that they're socially draining.
Awkward. You are not a charge up kind of person.
You are a discharging type of person.
A depleter.
What do they call them? An energy vampire.
Ooh, no fun there. Okay, you're right. My question was a little bit more fun.
Sorry.
You're welcome.
It was either that or I was going to ask you, what is your favorite flower? And I was like, that sounds lame now compared to yours.
What is my favorite? What? What is your answer?
A gardenia. What's your favorite flower?
The colorful ones? I don't have a favorite flower. Why would I have a favorite flower? For what, though? I know. I've considered, because that's one of those things that comes up in wedding stuffs, right? Oh, what kind of flower do you want? I'm just I don't know. One that fits the theme?
Well, I wouldn't have a gardenia for that, because they don't stay very well. If I could afford it, I would have peonies. Not peonies.
What's a peony?
Or is it hydrangeas? I think it's hydrangeas. That's the one I like. Hi.
Wait, which one did you say yours was?
A gardenia? Gardenia is my favorite flower.
This is so confusing. Honestly, I think I just pictured the same flower 3 times as you were saying the name.
Gardenia.
Oh, this looks like an off-brand rose.
Oh, it smells so good though. It's my grandma had a bush of them, and so every time I smell it, it reminds me of her. But if I could have a flower for my wedding, it would be peonies.
Oh, also very rose-like. Huh. Well, I just learned 3 new flowers.
I'm glad I didn't ask that question.
It's okay, you can leave it in like you did.
I'll just add bonus rapid fire question.
Awkward. Yes. But in other news, other times, other topics, where can people find the podcast?
You can find our podcast on Instagram and Twitter at The Tea with Crema. You can also find us anywhere that you stream your current podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. And if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, you can Venmo us at The Tea with Crema. We hope to see you next time. Bye!